So please welcome Robert Garfinkel from Wildcard Games, as well as Benjamin Ledoux of Voodoo. This is his first panel as well as mine, so just be gentle with us. Glad to be here. Our topic today is cross-promotion, more specifically, why should you run it now? So both of these gentlemen will share insight as to why we've launched programs together and what's driving the urgency. Okay, first, what is cross-promotion? So this is a method for getting an existing user to install another one of your apps. So this has been around quite a while, so why now? Apple's privacy changes has limited tracking, increased costs for UA, and companies are merging to increase their reach to existing audiences. While IDFA has fallen off, Apple still provides IDFV for the express purposes of impression pacing as well as marketing your own goods and services, really cross-promotion. So app marketers have multiple apps can say, why not increase installs by leveraging my existing user base? This becomes a cheap and effective UA strategy. As we know, all users will churn at some point, so it's key to convert them to another app before they leave when IDFV is still available. Okay, so it's a good idea, but how do you execute? You can use your existing ad space with mediation, but you can complicate the ROI because you're buying your own ad space. And then there are scenarios where ad monetization doesn't exist. Adikteev has offered an alternative, an SDK dedicated only to cross-promo ad formats fueled by churn prediction. Attribution is the same as a normal UA campaign without the media cost. Measurement is easy. Divide the low platform fee by the number of installs, and you have a low CPI to compare to existing UA channels. So this is just a quick visual. User A has a high LTV, but whose session time is dropping off. They have a session the following week, and you show them an in-app ad for your new game during a break in gameplay. One-click install, and you've executed a cross-promotion campaign. So why run it? That's enough from me, so I'd love to hear from our panelists. Robert, you're the head of growth at Wildcard, and you specialize in card games like Hearts and Cribbage. Can you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your company? And first question, has UA become more challenging, and if so, why?
Sure. So starting off with the introduction, Robert Garfinkel, I've been in the game space since about 2013, roamed around quite an array of different genres, strategy, hyper-casual, casual, puzzle, everything, real money games even, and where I found myself now is Wildcard, which is focused on classic card games that are probably like your aunt and grandfather's favorite series of games, Cribbage and the like. And of course, so for that, thinking about portfolio LTV, thinking about moving stuff around, moving users from app to app is a very part and parcel. And absolutely, as you mentioned, the scan framework itself is basically carving out this exception for cross-promotion. And so it's a technology space that is under-addressed with an opportunity in the market. And the larger challenges that I think was the second question there, in the UA space right now really comes down to the loss of data that we're facing. Like it is becoming more and more dangerous to make the same assumptions about your performance. And so with that in mind, you have to think about smaller but more highly effective marketing channels. Cross-promotion has classically been difficult and kind of thorny to run individually, but also is a space with a lot of upside.
Absolutely. Benjamin, you're leading the UA team at Voodoo. You've come a very long way to be with us today, so I appreciate that. One of the biggest gaming companies in the world. You guys have over 150 million monthly users. Has UA become more challenging for you and your team, and why?
Yeah, UA is more and more challenging. Firstly, because of the competition. There is more and more publisher. There is more and more casual brand doing their own UA. And we are all fighting for the same inventory. And the inventory is quite stable since the beginning of the year. Then there is also, as you said, about iOS, about Apple. So we are fighting with the SCAD network attribution. Meaning today we have less IDFA, less real-time data, no chance to get the cohorted, aggregated data at user level. So prediction are much more complicated. And so, of course, optimization are also more complicated. So also there is the fact that if you have less IDFA, the value of your users are also less valuable. So ad networks struggle to target the right people due to this lack of IDFA users. And so the advertisers do not succeed to put the right price for the right person. And to finish, there is, since the SCAD network framework is here, the industry, the market, there is some lag in terms of adjustment, in terms of reporting, in terms of just making sure we have the good tools. So it's much more complicated to find the right optimization and to get the right conversion values, etc. So yeah, it's much more complicated.
Amazing. Thank you for that background. So it's been around for a while, as we've said. What do you think is driving the urgency or timing for cross-promotion at Wildcard?
In particular, what I joined Wildcard to do was oversee the launch of several titles in this genre that is relatively crowded, and user acquisition costs are at an all-time high, never going to go down again, particularly probably. Although it's hard to determine because of what you just mentioned, which is that the targeting is getting worse for your advertising. So contextual keys are becoming more relevant, and one of the big context keys is whether or not someone is playing an unknown app, an owned app, meaning like it is an owned user, and therefore becomes like earned media instead of paid in a lot of ways. The urgency is that I want more margin. I want to be able to grow without spending wildly on every advertising channel, and this is an avenue for that, for sure.
Wild card, but not spending wildly is the name of the game. Benjamin, timing for Voodoo. Why push this now?
Yeah, Voodoo is a top publisher. We generated more than 6 billion of downloads since the beginning. So thanks to hundreds of games. So cross-promotion is definitely part of our strategy. The objective is, thanks to the cross-promotion, we can even more know the users, since there is no IDFA anymore, more or less. So with the cross-promotion, you know where is your users, thanks to your portfolio. You can identify the high-value users. It's really important to put the right message and make sure we manage these users. Also, we can manage and identify the churn rate. It's really important for us to identify this churn rate and to manage, to find a path to make sure we solve more or less, or we find a way to make the user staying on our environment.
Without giving too much inside baseball, there's always a bias against adopting technology like this by some. Can you give us some of the main hurdles and some of the maybe more spirited discussions you've had internally in talking about adopting a new technology like this?
Yeah, I mean, asking for an SDK integration is a quick way to stop a sales demo. Like, it's very challenging to get product teams on board with integrating new technology, especially something unproven, untested, unknown. The things that made this particular integration a little easier for me is that it doesn't compete with existing solutions. So we also mediate, and most of our revenues come from ads. And so anything that is cross promotion that's pulling from our direct ad stack is literally removing money from our own wallet in a lot of ways. So finding a solution that addresses the user in the right context and situation in a way that is cost efficient, and that was the thing that really made it an easier pitch internally, because at this point it's really just another almost retention tool, and product will generally add things that are good for retention.
Yeah. Benjamin, were there specific obstacles or debates at Voodoo about adopting?
Yeah, actually we have almost the same the same issues globally, but the first one is really about technically speaking, meaning make sure this SDK, this cross promotion, will not damage the game properly, that the user will not have some bugs, some lag and so on. And we also have to make sure we are not adding a new format just for adding a new format, but adding an incremental format for the user to have the solution to grow through all your portfolio. So making sure this will generate incremental for the users, but also in terms of value, in terms of margin for us. And the third point is all about content. Which content you will push for the right person, or you can identify the right content. We have hundreds of games, and so it's complicated to find the right games. If you play to Helix Jump, on which game you want to play after. So yeah.
Absolutely. Before Adikteev, Robert, have you tested any cross promo? What have been your learning points or experiences?
Yeah, most mediation platforms have some method for internal cross promotion, but what you're doing is effectively buying your own advertising inventory, as I kind of just mentioned. And what that means is that you're either taking from the very bottom of your waterfall, meaning that you're buying the worst users in your existing game, or you're trying to pull from more towards the top and you're actually reducing your overall eCPM by selling yourself like the most qualified users. In both circumstances, it's an extremely challenging thing to actually measure the ROI because of because you're actually pulling it off of the long tail of the user cohort journey. And so that it is functional. You can definitely run through Max or Iron Source or I don't know if there's other solutions that are similar, but it is probably part of a strategy and not a holistic strategy. So
absolutely. Benjamin, any key takeaways or past experiences?
Yeah, as Robert said, actually we are using our partner to do some cross promotion, and thanks to Interstitial and Rewarded, so it's definitely a big part of our cross promotion. But we also developed at Voodoo, we named the square. When you download a Voodoo game, you have a square promoting our own games. So there is the second part, and the third part is we are always looking for the relevant and innovative format. So that's why we will test Adikteev actually, and we are always try to find a new way to have innovative and more native format into our games.
Absolutely. Robert, finally, as you move forward as an organization with cross promo, what are the important metrics you have in mind to evaluate success?
Yeah, I think really it's the same metrics that you would normally look for in terms of channel in a lot of ways, although the cost element, so the ROAS element is a little bit less noticeable. I think that, as you mentioned, Benjamin, there's sort of a contextual layer here too. You might have many different titles that you're cross-promoting. You need to figure out what you're optimizing for, and I think that probably in this circumstance, there's going to be retention that you can identify as being higher or lower depending on what the target app to and from is. And I think that's where a lot of the strategic levers kind of reveal themselves. In terms of other KPIs that I'd be looking for here, I'd really like to avoid cannibalization in a general sense. So the predictive churn model that is part of Adikteev's service offering is very valuable because what it allows me to do is determine which users are likely to go and then to try to get them to move before they go. So in that context, understanding how much this is, how neutrally it could impact the LTV overall is a really important thing as well. And I don't have a good sense for how to measure that, as the technology is not quite up to the stage that I'm measuring campaign.
Yeah, and having the built-in holdout group helps with that as well. Benjamin, measuring the success of cross-promo.
Yeah, so I think we are all agree and all aligned about all is about return on investment at the end. So definitely how we manage it's about lifetime value across the portfolio level. Making sure that someone playing to Helix Jumps and to Slap and Run, Delivery It, and all the games will bring more value against staying on Helix Jump. So all is about incremental and making sure user will bring more value thanks to this cross promotion. So it's definitely about LTV cross portfolio.
Cool. Well, I hope this was interesting. These are both awesome guys. I'm personally very thankful for them sharing the stage with me today. So if you get a chance, come up and talk to them. We're also doing a happy hour at the Cabana, I believe 15 for Adikteev. So you can email me at Cameron@adikteev.com with any questions or grab a drink with these guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.